This is Chris Barnes, host of Supply Chain Now Radio, sponsored by Apex Atlanta and Talent Stream, coming to you from hashtag Supply Chain City, Atlanta, Georgia. Supply Chain Now Radio spotlights the best in all things supply chain, the people, the companies, the technologies, the best practices, and the critical issues of the day. In today's Profiles in Supply Chain Leadership, I'm with Kevin Reid, founder and CEO of National Minority Trucking Association, based in Atlanta. Kevin, thanks for investing time with Supply Chain Now Radio today.
Thank you for having me, Chris. It's a pleasure.
And I've known you probably for a couple years now, and you're very active in the Atlanta supply chain and logistics community with a combination of, you have education offerings and conferences for truckers and shippers. Can you tell me a little bit more about NMTA?
Yeah. NMTA is the first and only organization in the U.S. that represents the interest of minorities in trucking and logistics. Our primary focus is, as you alluded to earlier, is education. Our focus is helping small truckers and logistics professionals to become better entrepreneurs, first and foremost. As I've learned early in the game, that truckers are trained to drive trucks, not build companies. And as a result, it has a tremendous impact across all areas of not just trucking, logistics, and supply chain as well. So the better they are at performing, the better it fares for everyone.
Well, it certainly sounds positive for the supply chain community, and more specifically Atlanta, which I tend to be, being a local Atlanta resident, a favorite of. So I appreciate you doing that for the local economy.
Thank you.
How did you get involved in this? I mean, what was the genesis of the whole idea?
My first stint in transportation was I used to own a small courier company here in Atlanta. Then I got exposed to trucking. I was actually working with a friend that was starting a small trucking company, and he asked me to assist him with his operations, and I got really interested in trucking. Decided I'd run out and start a trucking company, but to my surprise, it wasn't as easy as it appeared to be. Within 6 months, I failed. I was out of business, sitting home, licking my wounds, asking myself, where's the help? And that forced me to do extensive research on the industry, something I probably should have done before I started that first company. But then I asked myself, where's the help for small entrepreneurs who are out here that are drivers that have desires to build companies? And as I began to research the industry, I saw that there was a huge void. I saw that there was no representation for 1.2 million minority truckers across the country. They had no voice, no one to advocate on their behalf, and there was no real comprehensive education for small truckers as a whole. And that became the focus of the organization, and that inspired me to launch it.
And what type of education is it? Like how to be a freight forwarder, how to manage truck fleets, or what type of things?
Well, I was asked a question when I first started the organization 7 years ago. What is it that minority truckers need most? And my response was education. And we wanted to do something that was very different. Education is not a one-size-fits-all, and trucking is what I call one of the truest blue-collar industries. Here's our reality. We have men and women out here that are hardworking. They're dedicated to, this industry and to the profession. They're also committed to building a lifestyle and a legacy for their families, and they see that trucking presents that opportunity to do so. But, everybody wants capital, as I always say, and everyone wants contract opportunities. But until we help small business owners to become better entrepreneurs, they will continue to struggle and fail. So we took a very unique approach at teaching them, meeting them where they are and helping them to get where they want to be. Through our NMTA certification program, we help them name their business, make sure the legal structure is proper, write a business plan. They take my How to Start Maintain a Successful Trucking Business or my Introduction to Freight Brokering course. We get them connected to our virtual CFOs and our CPAs to help them to manage their books and finances, to do their financial projections. We get them connected with our insurance partners to educate them about, risk management and things of that nature, how to bid on contracts, sales training, leadership development, everything that they're going to experience, factoring, purchasing equipment, everything that they're going to experience in putting together managing a business. Our NMTA and our in-house marketing team, we help them with their custom logos, their websites, their business cards, so that they're polished and they're able to go out and bid acquire and sustain those opportunities. There's literally billions of dollars in set-aside opportunities for minorities, women, and veterans across the country. The issue is they're not acquiring those opportunities and maintaining them. There's a huge gap between what corporate America is looking for and what these small fleets are able to provide. And it's simply about education, helping them to manage their businesses better. I tend to tell our members all the time, anyone can move a truck from point A to point B, but the businesses that are successful, they know how to manage their operations properly. They know how to go out and sell and market their businesses. And who's teaching the small carriers how to do that the right way?
Yeah, it's interesting. As I mentioned, I know about your organization. I just didn't realize the extent. So you provide a service around how to start a business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is the big deal. Everyone dreams about, how do I build this trucking company? How do I do it? And I always say one of the greatest pieces of economic wisdom is to know what you don't know. It's no different from a doctor or a lawyer. A doctor's trained on, how to heal people. Doesn't mean he's a good entrepreneur. Doesn't mean he knows how to run a business properly. So we have to help small business owners to become better at entrepreneurship.
And it sounds like, are you doing any lobbying? Are you involved with Washington, D.C. at all?
I've spent some time on Capitol Hill. So in 2019 and beyond, we are going to put a greater focus in that particular area. I've actually had several trips to the Hill, and I've spoke with a lot of our lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. They were very interested in hearing about our organization and what our focus was and how they could help. So a lot of what we went there to talk about was our need for talent in the industry and how we're going to recruit and retain truckers for the next generation.
It sounds like a great service. So is it a membership-driven organization? You have to be a member?
Yes, it is. Yes,
okay.
It is.
And I assume all that's on the website,
yeah.
How to get involved. Do you have any examples of some success stories?
Yeah. Two really big ones. Someone I think you've had on the show previously, Amari Ruff with Sudu. Amari actually came to my office a few years back, knowing absolutely nothing about trucking and logistics. I took him in and gave him classes, gave him office space, and helped him to put together his company and actually walked him into his first couple of big contracts. Another member that I'm going to be traveling with today, a former NBA professional, Antonio Davis. He actually came in and took one of my classes a little over a year or so ago, and he's now the owner of 3PL, and now has just acquired an asset-based company. And we have been fortunate to secure some pretty large contract opportunities for him, and we are going out and securing those opportunities and sharing those with many of our small asset-based companies as well.
Kevin, do you stick around and advise, maybe an advisory capacity after the companies get going, or?
I do.
That's how that works.
I do.
You don't have to be an advisor, but
yeah,
that's interesting.
It is about building those success stories,
the relationships,
those opportunities. Yeah.
And I can imagine anybody that wouldn't want you as an advisor might be have a very short-term vision, perhaps.
Yeah.
So how can people get involved, get engaged, or?
Just reach out to us. We're actually going through a total rebranding process for January. We're launching a new website. A new focus for 2019, new resources that we're offering our members, and very quickly, last week we just hosted a partners meeting up in Alpharetta, and we brought in about 10 to 15 partners that will be working with us on our new educational platform. They're providing expertise in a lot of different areas, and our partners are helping us with our certification, the NMTA certification. Which is, again, helping our members to become better entrepreneurs. And working with APIX has been a pleasure. And one of the things that we are encouraging our members to get their supply chain certification as well. I always say, if you're going to be in an industry, become a subject matter expert. The education doesn't end with NMTA, so we encourage them to get involved in other organizations such as APIX, which is phenomenal. And the education that you all provide is it's been very good, and thank you all for participating in our expos the last couple of years and helping out there as well.
Yeah, Kevin, thanks for the plug of one of our podcast sponsors, Apex Atlanta, who offers CLTD and CSCP certifications in the spring and the fall of 2019. And we're also, I think they're going to partner with you maybe on a supply chain 101 type of class, or?
Yeah,
Is that something you have in the pipe?
Yeah, yeah. We the supply chain is something that we're really encouraging our members to learn, understand every aspect of supply chain, and how that works, so that they can be again subject matter experts.
And I know as a volunteer for Apex Atlanta, I'm on the board. You've been involved with helping us with some of our Supply Chain 101 seminars for schools. Have you been to one of the schools and
I've been to
participated?
a couple, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The experience was phenomenal. It's amazing, and I get it. Actually, I think at the last one, we were down in Rockdale County, I think it was, or Newton County. Seeing these kids at the elementary school level get it, and I had an aha moment, actually, understanding the importance of reaching the young minds and exposing them to the supply chain industry and the opportunities. It makes a world of a difference, and just recognize as these kids grow up, everything that they think about now, they're going to recognize there's a supply chain involved in everything that they see. So it's really awesome and great work that Apex is doing.
Yeah, I tell people I'm in supply chain, and I always get the blank look, and I say, well, I always follow that up with, well, have you ever bought anything?
Yeah.
And anyone that says yes, they're the reason for the supply chain, so they're actually a key part of it. So I'm glad, as a volunteer leader for Apex Atlanta, I'm glad you, as a leader in the community and running an organization, take the time. I don't want to say give back, but take the time to contribute to your community. So I appreciate that effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just from a kind of a industry perspective, what do you see anything happening in transportation? Any key trends? Anything that the audience might need to know about?
The same thing that we're always asked. The big question is, how are we going to recruit talent? That's the big buzzword. And I just recently did an interview with the New York Times, Commercial Carrier Journal. 11 Alive came out and did a piece a couple months back, and it's all centered around drivers. How are we going to recruit drivers? And it's a conversation I've had for years. And we're really working diligently to help to fill that void, not just in trucking, but in all areas of supply chain and logistics. So that's really the big thing for us. And we're launching the NMTA CEO Driving Academy in January. And happy we're moving in our new building now. We're all going to be in there together. And we just really want to train the best drivers and provide this industry with great talent.
Oh, so you're a celebrity now. I can see you on the TV.
Well,
was it the news thing,
I've been a couple places.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can be, to a certain point, a spokesperson
Yeah.
for a segment of the supply chain. I would assume.
Yeah, and quite often people tap on the door and they
Sure.
want to know, Kevin, what's your perspective? What's your thought on this? And everybody's got an opinion. I've
Sure,
got one. I'm
sure.
highly opinionated, I guess.
And you had mentioned we talked about the event, the Top Expo event. Is that
Yes.
that we were involved with?
Yes.
When's the next one? Is it already?
Well, we're gonna
planned?
push it back to the fall because we're making such significant changes this year, and our focus is going to be very different as an organization this year. We're kind of narrowing our focus, so we're looking at pushing the expo back to the fall, and probably maybe early midsummer. We're going to be doing a 2-day boot camp for trucking and logistics, contract boot camp, and we're going to have a few major corporations that will come out and talk to our constituents about how to do business. We're looking to host a series of lunch and learns this year. Every other month we plan to do those, and we're asking major corporations that have diversity spins and their shippers to come out and expose our members to opportunities on how to do business with them.
Okay. And what is the Topo Expo about? Why should people take a look at it?
Top Expo is the largest gathering of minority trucking and logistics professionals in the U.S., and it's just allowing minority trucking and logistics professionals to have access to resources that they need to enhance their careers and businesses in the industry, and great education. So we want to expose them to not only getting connected, networking, shaking hands with decision makers in the industry, which is something that doesn't exist for minorities in the industry.
And I know this year it was at the Cobb Galleria up in Smyrna area.
Yeah.
It was. We stepped in. We had a booth. Apex Atlanta had a booth. Thank you for that. It looks like it's continuing to grow. A good turnout, good audience, great networking opportunities, as you had mentioned.
Yeah.
That's really what I enjoy about it. Kevin, as we wrap up, any input for anybody looking at careers or just guidance in general, or Would you do logistics again if you had the chance? Anything?
If I had the chance, I would have gotten started a lot earlier. And I would say to anyone, and as a matter of fact, one of my daughters just came off of active duty in the military. She's in school now for logistics and supply chain. It is a phenomenal industry, and I encourage more of our young people to take a look at it. Unfortunately, too many kids are going to college, getting degrees, and feels they can't get jobs in. And I say that logistics and supply chain presents a wealth of opportunities. Love it.
Yeah, kudos to your daughter. I mean, and part of what we teach in Apex is that the evolution of logistics and supply chain all started with the military. They pretty much wrote the book on that whole space. Well, Kevin, thanks again for sharing with us today.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure. Look forward to talking again soon.
Yeah, I'll see you at the next show.
Yeah, thank you.
Be sure to check out past sessions on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or our site at supplychainnowradio.com. This is Chris Barnes, host of Supply Chain Now Radio, spotlighting the best in all things supply chain, the people, the companies, the technologies, the best practices, and the critical issues of the day. Thanks for learning.